warm, windy afternoon down at the bay. You hear the hum of leaf blowers behind me. Got some pelicans diving. Let's see if we can get a little closer. It's nice because the sun is very, very hot and the wind is very, very cool. It is a lovely afternoon to be out here. So we've got 3 pelicans. Oh, here's a gull, a black-faced gull, laughing gull. Ooh. Everybody's busy. Thought he was going to dive. Is he going to dive? Oof. Did he get the fish? Oh, looks like it. It's hard to tell. Definitely laughing gulls. Hello. Some ibis underneath the banyan tree out here on the beautiful grass behind the social science building. Everybody's very busy. Let's see if we can get a little closer. Oh, he doesn't like that, sorry. This is probably about as close as I'll be able to get without disturbing them. Oh, look at this tree. So beautiful. Anything good to eat today? Yeah, looks like there's some yummy treats to be had out here. Hello, how are you this afternoon?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Nick Clarkson, Assistant Professor of Gender Studies here at New College. And this is Amos. He's probably about 10, like a Boston Terrier pug mix.
I thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're adapting to working from home?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, being in isolation feels a lot like a normal faculty summer. So to some extent, I've had some practice in like figuring out how to create some structure when there's not really much present. I do enjoy like being in my home space in lots of ways. So in a lot of ways that like this doesn't feel like terrible to me. But I think in recognition of the fact that we're collectively going through a traumatic process, I've been trying to be pretty gentle with myself about my work expectations. Some of the things that I think are really helping me are that I'm someone who very much likes routine. And so I have a kind of morning routine that takes about like 2 hours most of the time, sort of like eating breakfast, letting Amos out, watching some TV for a little while and playing some games on my phone, just trying to like not start the day with news. And then sort of working for maybe 5-ish kind of hours a day, though, of course, some of that time is lost to other kinds of distractions. And then being really firm about stopping work around 5 or 6 most days and like going on a walk or like going out in my backyard to read, playing with Amos, something like that. Something not work related to just like allow myself to refresh and help me sort of make sure I'm sort of maintaining myself in the ways I need to be supportive of students.
And I think just as a segue from that, in terms of being gentle with yourself and, giving yourself that space, can you provide some, sorry, there's like a massive storm that just started here outside my window. So if you all can hear the storm raging outside, that's happening. Some advice to students as we head in towards the end of the semester?
Yeah, I mean, part of what feels really hard about teaching online is that I have so little information from students about like, what are you all experiencing and what do you need? And like, everyone's gonna need different things. I listened to previous episodes where like student success coaches had all of the kinds of suggestions I would usually make about productivity tools and organization and things like that. They would be a great resource. I think the message I want to share is more about how to function in a basic kind of way during times of crisis. I feel like I'm seeing some students talk about like working really hard for 3 days at a time and then crashing. So I really want to encourage you to think about pacing, having kind of like scaled back expectations of what you can accomplish in one day and not pushing yourself too far past the point where you feel like, okay, this is what I can do. Because like pushing yourself past that is going to put you in a situation where then you don't have enough brain power work left to do anything productive the next day. So pacing seems super important. I know that we have a number of perfectionists among the student body. This is certainly something I've had to work on a lot. But I think I feel strongly as a faculty member that like this is not the time for anyone's best thinking. I know that the work everyone turns in is impacted by the fact that we have limited brain space available. So as much as you can release yourself from the idea that you're going to be doing your best work right now or that it has to be perfect, just do what you can. The other thing I've noticed is that I've been really flexible about deadlines in my class. And so some students have sort of fallen behind a little bit. And then in trying to get caught up, are forgetting that like they only need a certain number of some assignments or like they don't need to complete everything in order to pass the class in the end. So what I want to encourage you to do if you've like fallen behind is to make a plan for getting caught up rather than just trying to frantically like move through a bunch of things. I think talking with your advisor or with a student success coach might be a good way to deal with that. But like making a plan about like what do you need to do to pass the class rather than like stressing yourself out way more than you need to be trying to like complete everything and do your best work or like yeah, this is sort of a message about like working smarter to try to get caught up if you're sort of falling behind. I really want to encourage you to reach out to faculty for support. We all want to help you, but it's really hard to figure out what you would find helpful or what you need.
I think that's really fair, really helpful advice. Is there anything you would like us to know about Amos as your coworker?
I think Amos is very much enjoying like me being home. He's certainly getting much more petting and a lot more time out in the yard. He started doing this thing where like usually I'll set up my hammock in the hammock stand out in the backyard in the afternoon. And so he started like herding me out the door and sort of standing near the hammock stand if I don't set it up. But I think that's because he's learned if he like lays on the ground beneath the hammock when I'm in it, he can get petting.
Smart dog.
He's like really tired though, because I'm interrupting his naps now that I'm home all the time.
Poor Amos. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Hello, Anna Lynn. How are you?
Hi, Helene. I'm really great. I'm coming to you live 2,000 miles away from campus from my kitchen in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado, Mile High City.
Exactly.
Indeed. And can you tell us your AOC? And
sure. So I'm a third year and I am making my own AOC in human geography.
Oh, that's so cool. We could talk about that another time, but today we are here to ask you, what are you baking and what are you cooking? So you are in your home kitchen. Tell us about what you're cooking and baking.
Well, that's a great question. I bake a lot with my little sister. She's sitting here right here. She's a 17-year-old high school junior. So
have her wave and say hey to us.
Felicia, say hi. Hi. But so we've been baking a lot together. Last week we made some cupcakes for my grandma's 89th, like she turned 89 last week. So we made a couple cupcakes and brought them over to her house wearing masks and of everything, of course, and like gave them to her singing and everything. We've also made some cakes. I don't think we've made cookies yet, and then we've also cooked a little bit together. We made gnocchi, and I made some like tofu parmesan, like chicken or eggplant parmesan, except with tofu. A lot of roasted veggies. We made broccoli carbonara a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's fun. And then my dad likes to cook too, so he makes like, I don't know, other stuff too, like stews and quesadillas and
Are you all in the
all that
kitchen
stuff.
at the same time?
No, I mean sometimes. I mean my house was built in over 100 years ago, so it's not that big to begin with, and our kitchen is also not that big.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so it's like the stove space here is pretty small. So there can be too many cooks in the kitchen, as the common adage goes, but I don't know, like 3 of us max, which works out well because my mom doesn't cook.
Oh, I'm sure she is the happy recipient of all of your cooking, though.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
are you planning on cooking next? Any cooking projects coming up
Ooh.
this week?
Wait, Felicia, are we planning on cooking? Oh, we were gonna make gnocchi again. What else were we gonna make? Oh, I've been wanting to make this creamy cauliflower pasta from Allison Roman. Saw this video recipe that looked really good. Anything else, Felicia? Cake, probably again.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And
Oh
you
my
can see
God.
that Roger has arrived again. This is, I think, the
Hi,
first time
Roger.
he's actually been in an interview that we've done. So this is, oh, are you done? Oh, yeah, he's done.
Oh, bye, Roger.
That sounds fantastic. Tell us, what advice would you give to novice bakers or new cooks or anyone that just is getting started, maybe for fun or for stress relief?
That's a great question, and it's a great idea to do that. Like, there's nothing, especially because a lot of restaurants are closed. There's nothing like making your own food, even if it doesn't look great. You know what? Like, it'll probably taste at least good, and you have like stuff that you make yourself always tastes better because you know exactly what you're putting in, and even if it takes a lot of time, hey, like that's, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, So,
That's so true.
but some practical advice, I would say I really like watching food shows on YouTube for free, like the Bon Appetit channel is pretty popping, as well as like there's a bunch of other ones, like there's one called You Suck at Cooking, but it's really funny and the recipes are good, and Binging with Badgers is another great one.
Oh,
And
good. I'll include them in the email.
yeah, that's a great idea. But yeah, I mean, and do the most with the ingredients that you have, because like some stores might not have what you need, but I mean, like whatever, you can make do.
I think that's the big takeaway right now is just, like have fun, don't worry about it, enjoy, and, let it take you where it's going to take you.
Exactly. Just make sure to season it enough, and you'll be fine.
Yes, I think that's probably the most important message that we can hear right now is you will be fine. So I will check in with you again. Oh, Roger's back. Come here, Raj. Come here. Ugh. So I will check in with you again before the semester is over to see what you're cooking, and I'll have you maybe send me some photos and some video. And if there's anything you think Roger would be interested in, he loves chicken. It's his favorite food.
Oh,
so just let you know. Okay. That would be great.
I'm a vegetarian, but maybe I can whip up a seitan dish.
I think he would not refuse that. Thank you so much, Annalyn. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, glad to be on the show. I'm honored.
And now the winners from our Pet of the Week contest. Cats, you did not disappoint. There were so many floofy felines and sleek panthers. Here are our winners. It only makes sense to follow Cat Week with Rodent Week. Show us your furry little hamsters, rats, guinea pigs, or chinchillas. Yay, rodents! Hello, it is I, your fearless librarian, with a brief overview of sorting through the news avalanche that is upon us. You're probably seeing a ton of coverage of the pandemic in your social media news feeds, but perhaps you're also seeing more television news coverage than usual. There is so much we don't know, and every day we hear claims about medical treatments and speculation about the future. The deluge of information and misinformation is anxiety-producing and exhausting, and most of us are feeling overwhelmed by it all. Oh, what a time to be a librarian! I want to share a quick and effective strategy for vetting claims and getting as much solid factual information as you can. Let's use our already honed spidey senses and good old Wikipedia and Google. We're going to use the SIFT method developed by Mike Caulfield, who is, among other things, the head of the Digital Polarization Initiative of the American Democracy Project. I'll include a link in the email. And he has been unbelievably important in providing college-level tools and instruction for developing online media literacy skills. Okay, I'm a bit of a fangirl. We begin with stop before you react or repost. Ask yourself whether you know the website or source of the information. If you're familiar with the source and you know it's trusted, like, the New York Times or BBC, then continue. It's important to have a buffer between your emotional reaction to the content and your next action. So if you're not immediately familiar with the source, because knowing the expertise and agenda of the source is crucial to your interpretation of what they say. This can be as easy as Googling the name of the website, the publisher, the newspaper, the author, and just reading the Wikipedia entry. Yes, Wikipedia is your friend. If you can't find information about the source or the source is questionable, find trusted coverage about the claim. Sometimes you don't care about the particular article or video that reaches you. You care about the claim the article is making. In this case, research the claim itself. Determine the history and context of the claim to further your investigation. Finally, it can be very illuminating to trace the claim back to the original source, since claims or quotes can be taken out of context. You want to get a sense if the version you saw was accurately presented. Overall, Caulfield states that by scanning for other coverage, you can see what the expert consensus is on a claim, learn the history around it, and ultimately land on a better source. So, what might this look like in a real-life scenario? Let's find out. Okay, this is a super oversimplified example of what I mean. So say you're on Twitter or you're on Facebook and you see a claim. Maybe a friend has made it, a relative has made it, or it's just a random news story or post. So for example, I'm on Twitter and I see a post that states, "The shortage of supplies forces surgeons to wear boxing gloves for operation." Interesting. So I see it's coming from The Onion. Now, of course, we all know that The Onion is a fantastic satirical news source, been around for a long time, but say we don't know, or say we're not familiar with the source. What you'll want to do is find out what is The Onion. And what you can do is just Google the name of the source, the name of the publisher. And in this case, we Google The Onion. We see that it is indeed America's finest news source, but Wikipedia, your friend, tells us it's the American satirical digital media company that's been around since 1988. So now we know. That was easy. That was 2 moves. Say we're still not sure. We want to then go to the claim. And the claim is surgeons wearing boxing gloves to operate. So we can just search for the claim. And in this case, it brings us back to the original source and some images from Shutterstock and canned photos of wearing medical gloves, doctors wearing gloves. And you can see that we're just not able to verify the claim from any other source. So this is basically what the form moves look like. You see if you recognize the source, check the trustworthiness of the source, and then you check the claim. Thanks for watching this week's episode of RogerCast.